what we have in here. So here we go. Start the timer. We're in Mark chapter 5, longer passage today. We begin in verse 1. Then they came to the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gerasenes. When he got out of the boat, immediately a man from the tombs with an unclean spirit met him, and he had his dwelling among the tombs, and no one was able to bind him anymore, even with a chain, because he had often been bound with shackles and chains, and the chains had been torn apart by him, and the shackles broken in pieces, and no one was strong enough to subdue him. Constantly, night and day, he was screaming among the tombs and in the mountains and gashing himself with stones. Seeing Jesus from a distance, he ran up and bowed down before him. And shouting with a loud voice, he said, "What business do we have with each other, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I implore you by God, do not torment me." For he was saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." And he was asking him, "What is your name?" And he said to him, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And he began to implore him earnestly not to send them out of the country. Now there was a large herd of swine feeding nearby on the mountain, and the demons implored him, saying, "Send us into the swine so that we may enter them." Jesus gave them permission, and coming out, the unclean spirits entered the swine, and the herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea, and 2,000 of them, about 2,000 of them, and they were drowned in the sea. Okay, really interesting story. We're going to look at the response of the people after this, but here's where we step back and I hope you've been thinking through those questions. What does this tell me about God? What does this tell me about us, about ourselves, and what should we do in response? But as we do this, remember what we just talked about. Jesus calmed the sea, and he gets to the other side, and what do we find? We find someone who, for all intents and purposes, is absolutely untamable. This guy, chains, not a problem. Breaking him off. We find him gashing himself. This demon is tormenting this man. These demons just going after him, and it seems like a hopeless situation. In fact, if you look at the first 5 verses, it's just, I think Mark's just telling us this was absolutely hopeless. I mean, everybody just sort of gave up. The dude's living in the tombs. He's breaking chains and shackles. Like, we're toast. And look what happens, verse 6. He sees Jesus from a distance. He runs and he bows down. Right? This demon who had so thoroughly possessed and tormented this man runs up and just bows face down on the ground. And look what he says. He's saying, he acknowledges, remember that question that the disciples asked, "What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the waves obey him?" Let's ask that question again. When this demon, what manner of man is this, that the demons bow in humble fear at him? And he says, "Hey, what do we have?" And he notice the demon answers the question, "You are the Son of the Most High God." He understands Jesus is the Son of God. He understands his authority. He understands his power. He understands all of it right there in this moment. And look what he says, "I implore you by God, don't torment me." That's kind of ironic. Don't torment me, although we've been tormenting this man for years now. That's an ironic part there. And so it just shows you how absolutely broken this demon is. He knows, I don't have anything compared to you. It's like getting ready to go into battle, and you realize the person you're fighting is like 10 times stronger. It's not even a battle at this point. And that's where this demon is. He just doesn't have anything compared to Jesus. And so we'll talk about all these demons going into the swine, drowning in the sea, when we look at the response of the people. But let's just ask ourselves a question. And I think this one is laid out really clearly for us. What does this tell us about Jesus? I mean, it tells us his authority. It tells us his majesty, his grace. All right? His grace, because we sit there, look, come out. Leave this man alone. It shows us the authority, the power, and the grace of Jesus. And what does it tell us about ourselves? Well, that's a great question. This is one of those questions. This is one of those where really the answer to that one will come next week when we look at it on Tuesday, about what it means for us to be like to see the response of the people. And so what do we do about it? I think it tells us we got to be those who are humbly submitted to the power and majesty of Jesus. All right, well, guys, that's it. It's Friday. I'm praying for you. Have a wonderful weekend. And if you don't have a church that you go to, join us here online at First Baptist Phoenix. We would love to see you then. All right, have a great weekend, and I will see you again on Monday as we break down some of the things from Sunday's sermon. See you then.